Alright, what up, people? It's your boy Chig from Gooner Eagle Eye. Finally coming to you live. First things first, it's even in my synopsis, so you guys know it's official. Let me make my apologies now. My apologies that I didn't do a preview video. Apologies I didn't do a review video of the Burnley game. My review for that Burnley game will come in this video. Quite frankly, I don't know. I'm pretty sure I told you guys, but I had a road trip this weekend. I ain't gonna lie to you. It was a good night, but in having a good night, I was in no state to record any type of thing that wouldn't sound like a big black man who's hungover. So I do apologize for that. So yes, sincerely apologize for that. And also, to be honest with you, I wanted to really take in watching the game and make some good analysis. Having said that, trust me to pick the game that I did against Burnley. It was not a great performance by Arsenal whatsoever. This is one of those times where you look at the score 1-0, you consider how well we've been playing up until then. You assume, okay, well, if it was 1-0, Burnley are kind of stubborn. I found out a record the other day that they'd only actually lost 1 in 17 at Burnley, which I never even realized. That's a hell of a record. I mean, I even said it in kind of my lead-up videos, and in fact, in last week's edition of the G.E.E, I did say that I felt like it'd be a difficult game. This is the same Burnley team who's beaten the Liverpool team who beat us in the first game of the season. And they beat Liverpool, I think it was actually the game after, at Burnley. So I knew they were going to be stubborn. A bit more than stubborn. They actually played pretty well, all things being considered. And I say all things being considered. Was the decider. I know there was a lot of talk on Monday morning about whether they felt that was a legitimate goal, or if it was indeed it was handball. As an Arsenal fan, I can admit it was a handball. You know, and if you're a Burnley fan, you must be just sat there, just salty as hell. Like how did they not spot that? How did we not get anything out of that game? I'll be honest, bar maybe 2 players, I don't think any of our players really turned up. Any of them. And I don't know if that's just tiredness. This is one of those times where Wenger gives an excuse after the match, and I think it might be legitimate. I think when you take in the last couple of games that we've had against Basel and against Chelsea, we gave so much to both games that by the time we played Burnley, quite frankly, our intensity just completely dropped. We were never there. You know, if I'm going to give my quick ratings for that match, I'd give Czech, who I thought, in spite of the fact that his kicking is dodgy, Czech, like I think we need to just accept that we have a world-class keeper who can't kick. But he's better than, I'd have him over Joe Hart, that's for damn sure. But yeah, I thought, other than his kicking, I thought he made 2 really good saves. That's why you pay that 10 million. So I'd give Czech a 7.5. I thought he was very good. I thought Bellerin was kind of average. I'd give him a 6. Mustafi, I actually thought was man of the match. Was very, very good. Very, very good. I mean, these are one of those games where if one of your centre backs, i.e., a Kashani, doesn't. I don't think Kashani had a particularly bad game. It's just that Mustafi had a very good game. Um, and it's those type of games that in the past we would either lose 1-0 or draw. Draw would have been more likely because we would have conceded some sort of stupid goal. And I think between the magic of Czech and Mustafi was the only reason that we didn't lose or draw that game. And I think for that, I give Mustafi 8 out of 10, which just goes to show you the man in the match got 8 out of 10. It wasn't a great performance by any means from any of these players other than Mustafi and Czech, really. I thought Kashani was decent. I thought he was 7 out of 10. I thought Monreal was Monreal. Very rarely do you give Monreal below a 6 or a 7. And if you do, it's because the whole team collectively have played badly. So I'll give him a 6. I thought Xhaka, I noticed Xhaka the last couple of games has just gone a little bit quiet. But I suppose didn't really need to be overly used over the weekend. It wasn't. I know Burnley attempted to make it a physical game, but it wasn't a midfield game. And Xhaka isn't necessarily a sitting player. I think this is the type of game that weirdly, I believe, Coquelin would have shined in more than Xhaka. Because it just, their pitch is not a big enough pitch to allow a Xhaka kind of influence to take place. Whereas a Coquelin, I think Coquelin would have relished that battle on Sunday. Nevertheless, I thought Xhaka played well enough, and I'd give him a 6. Santi, I'd give a 6 to also. Thought he was okay. Theo, I think Theo tried to make stuff happen. I can't believe I'm defending Theo as much as I am lately. Well, I thought he tried to make stuff happen. I think particularly in the early going, him and Sanchez clearly are the two confidence players at the moment, and they were trying in the early stages to attempt to make something happen. That kind of faded as the game went on, and it just became one of those type of games, really, a very, really frustrating game. It wasn't a nice game to watch if you're a spectator. I'd give Theo a 6. I thought he did okay. I desperately want to change everybody's mark up from a 6, but it was just that type of game. Iwobi, again, I thought attempted to make a few things happen. Attempted to make a couple of. You know what? I'll give Theo a 6.5. I actually thought he really did try. Similarly, I think Iwobi tried to make things happen on the left. It just wasn't happening. And I'd give a 6 out of 10 to. Ozil, I'm a bit worried about. Probably since the Chelsea game, hasn't really shown up the last couple of games. This was another game that I thought it either didn't suit him or he just didn't feel like playing. Either way, I'd give him a 5 out of 10. I just don't think he particularly did anything. And again, with Sanchez, I think he tried to make things happen. But it was just going to be one of those games. Unfortunately, this was a type of game that someone like Giroud would have been better suited to. I know there was a lot of anger that there was no strikers on the bench on Sunday. I understand that Giroud still is nursing this toe injury of his, and Perez apparently has picked up a slight knee injury. I hope neither of those situations are long-term, because although our team is performing well, that is a typical type of example why having those options is important on the bench. And it would have just been nice to have that option on the bench. Yeah, I won't really mark the subs just because I don't know if it's particularly fair to. Although I know El Nene came on, and El Nene, fair play to him. The man is having a bit part role at the moment, but every time he comes on, I love him as a player just because I think he's a very tidy player. And it's very rare that I think I've seen maybe 2 bad performances from El Nene since we got him in January. I really like the look of our midfield at the moment. And when El Nene can't even get a spot in the team, we are doing something right. So I'd give El Nene a 6. I thought he did okay. In fact, I actually thought we played a little better when he came on. And ironically, it looked like he was a defensive swap. And since he came on, I thought he looked at least a little lively when he came on. So yeah. All in all, you know, fluky performance. What can you say? Fluky Arsenal would have been my little title for the video. It is the way champions play. Pick up 3 points no matter what. We do need to play better than that. On average, we need to play better than that. And probably disappointing for a lot of Arsenal fans, given the fact that we have played really well up until then. But 3 points is 3 points. I'll take it. I don't care if it comes from some weird, funky long ball, weird, funky handball situation, offside handball situation. I don't give a damn. If it means that we get 3 points, I'll take another 30 of those, please. I'm all good with that. And onwards and upwards, really. So I guess that kind of transitions me into my kind of half-term report, if you like. So I know school-wise, I know they're not on half-term yet, but I think half-term for schools is actually next week. And I figured I'd give my kind of thoughts in terms of how Arsenal are progressing and how I feel like, you know, where we are and how I feel like we're doing as a whole and as a squad. I think a lot of fans, whether you're really pro Wenger or anti Wenger, I think all Arsenal fans are at least quietly optimistic. I think would be the sensible phrase to use. It's amazing what a good summer will do for you in terms of transfers. It was a frustrating one for me. I even gave my mark on the transfer window. I felt like we got the positions we needed, but it was a frustrating one. It was a frustrating wait. Wenger's name was being cursed left, right, and centre, and that was just from me. So I know what Arsenal fans must have been really frustrated going into that transfer window. Me, on the other hand, once the transfer window was done, and you can see that the players are settling down. Wenger, fair play to him, is at least showing a little bit of tactical awareness, even when it doesn't look like it's working. And fair play, even when we've just flat out disagreed with the starting lineup, he's persevered, and so far it's reaping rewards. You know, we beat Chelsea well. I mean, well, how many times can you say we beat Chelsea 3-0 and that scoreline flatters them? That's what I've heard from Chelsea fans, that scoreline flattered Chelsea. Not flattered Arsenal, flattered Chelsea. We spanked Chelsea. And I think that Chelsea performance is probably alone the catalyst that's given us such an optimistic feel for the season. I think when you take the Premiership as a whole, I think the teams that look particularly good, let's be honest, it's not going to be popular, but let's be honest, probably the 4 standout teams is City, us, them idiots down the road, and it's Liverpool. And I know my mate in particular won't like that because he reserves a special hatred for Liverpool. But it's true. Standout teams at the moment were the teams that look like we're clicking at the moment. And I think that's pretty reflective of what's going on in the table, to be fair. Pushing ahead, I think from our point of view, we need to not now rest on our laurels. So a typical game that we tend to find difficult, albeit not necessarily at home, but we do tend to find difficult, is the Swansea game on at home. Swansea have just appointed a new manager, and this American guy, Bob Bradley. We need to make sure that first things first, let's hope and pray. I hate international breaks so much because selfishly, from an Arsenal point of view, I'm just hoping and praying stupid flipping injuries. So I won't I'll be holding my breath until probably the following Wednesday, where we have an idea at least where we are in terms of personnel. In terms of positive news, I know that we have people coming back from injury. So I know we'll have people like Ramsey back from injury. Giroud should be back from injury. You would think Perez should be back from injury. Coquelin apparently should be back from injury. So these are positive signs that, we're having the right players back at the right time. Because as much as people will be surprised, you say Ramsey's a positive? Listen, I have my issues with Ramsey, don't get me wrong. But, he's a good player, and we need all the players that we can get if we're going to push for this title. So, yeah, it's positive news that I believe he's coming back. As a whole, to get back on track, as a whole, I do believe that I feel like we're moving in the right direction. The new signings are settling in well. I think who excites me the most in terms of our new signings, and I never thought I'd say this, Mustafi. He's the one that's impressing me. He's the one that's exciting me. And I'll tell you what I'm most impressed by, because people be sat there thinking that, well, you spent 35 million on the guy, he must be good. Yeah, but if you look at people like someone like Man City, remember how much they spent on Mangala. Remember how much they spent. Remember how much Chelsea spent on David Luiz. So spending over 30 million on a defender these days doesn't necessarily guarantee you quality. But I think what has really impressed me is he slid into the squad, and as an Arsenal fan, you almost forget that he's only been there a couple of months, because he just seems so seamless. And I know people would also be surprised because I was heavily critical of him in the PSG game. I hold my hands up. It was his first full game. Second full game, right? It was the second full game. And clearly wasn't up. I wasn't impressed or happy with the way and how easily Cavani was losing him. But, handled Costa alongside Koscielny. Absolutely handled Costa. And Costa is listen, as much as I hate the guy, you have to be fair. He's a talented. He relishes battles with defenders, relishes them, whether it's bullying them, whether it's using his movement to just be elusive of them. He's a very good player that way. And Mustafi has settled in well when you consider those type of things. Let's face it, as much as I hate alerting my boys to this, considering that they do listen to these shows as well, from a fantasy football point of view, you've got to think to yourself, I'd look at an Arsenal defender, because ever since Mustafi's come into the team, we're not conceding goals. So, I mean, he looks like he's going to be a really good player. And I know Koscielny's getting older, and it does kind of make you think to yourself, blimey, what do we do if, A, we lose him? Let's face it, he's in his last year of his contract. People keep forgetting that. And if he doesn't stay, then I guess it kind of transitions you into Rob Holding, who I believe, and I know I said this kind of controversially to the boys when we were on our road trip over the weekend. To be honest, he impresses me more than Chambers at the moment. I think he's going to be blossom into a really, really good player. Just seems to be very intelligent. and has got the pace, and you can see people compare him to the new John Stones. Not for me. I think the only thing that they have in common is that they both are English. Aside from that, and both English and from the north. Aside from that, there is no comparison between the two. I think for me, it's the new Koscielny. I think he really is. I think he's very comfortable on the ball, particularly against Forest. He played it really well, tidied up everything alongside Gabriel. And, you know, I like Gabriel, but he does have a mistake in him every now and again. And I thought Rob marshaled next to him really, really well. And I really, really I think he will be our new defensive pairing going forward, which kind of makes you think, well, where does that lead? Very after the report, there was a quote to Saka that said he was going to start Larry. And you know what? As far as I'm concerned, all the best to him. Really cold, but let's face it about our defense. I was speaking to my boy about this, funnily enough, 2 days ago, and he said that he would love Saka to stay, if for no other reason, just for the dressing room and, you know, keep morale up. But to be honest with you, if he needs to play, I said let's just get rid of him. I think he would be good in the dressing room. I do agree with that, but I also think that if he's not serving a purpose, there's no point keeping him. Other than because a coach, great, but you know, after his playing days are done. But I think he's 32. You know, he probably has a couple more years left. Particularly if he goes back to Germany, which I can see happening. Play out days there, and then I'd be happy to welcome him back to the club in the future. I think for now, I think our defensive situation, for once, I never thought I would say this, is so good. And you've still got a very capable Gabriel to come in there, you know, just in case. I can Chambers back to replace him at Saka. So our defensive situation is good. It really, so you look at and to start stepping it up a little bit now, start controlling games a little bit more, start getting on the ball a little bit more. But I do think that the potential of Xhaka is the most. And I think it will take time. You know, we're only in October. So if you really think about it, he's been with us 6, maybe 7 weeks. All right, yes, I know we signed game play. Probably you'll start to see the best of Xhaka. Our midfield is one of the strongest in the league in terms of squad personnel. And I think that competition will at least make him elevate his game. And I think what is a really good player. And I know people are really excited about what he's done. For me, it's about what he's capable of. So yeah, and I think Perez. Listen, my message when it comes to Lucas Perez is this: I am not worried one little bit. You what? That's all I'm going to say. And mark my words when I say this. You watch what he does. I've just got a really good feeling when it comes to him. So all I'm going to say is you watch. So I think all in all, optimistic. Quietly optimistic is definitely the message. I think I'm not going to start grading each player because I think that would be dumb to do kind of halfway through the first part of the season. But I think all in all, as a team, I'd give us a B. Nice solid B. I think it was a horrible start. But since then, we've gone on a good solid run. And now it's about continuing that. You know, I think we're correctly placed as the second favourites in the league. Sorry. No favourites in the league. And I think that's their favourites in the league. And I think now it's about how we push on. We need to make sure that going into November, which is going to be a difficult, it's going to be really difficult. You know, we play Spurs, we play United, we play PSG. It's going to be a difficult month. And even without seeing the fixtures, nervous November tends to get us a lot. So I think going into November, we need to make sure we're in a good position to strike. I really want us to finish this month being amongst the top two. And taking control of our Champions League table. That, for me, would be the objective of October. And I hope we go on to do that. So, yeah, I'd give us a B as a team. And as the manager, give him credit. 20 years in the game. You know, Sunday marked 20 years since his very, very first Premier League game. You know, the anniversary against Chelsea, I found out the other day, was actually the first moment he was appointed Arsenal boss. But this was the game actually marked, and the Burnley game actually marked 20 years in charge. So fair play to him, you know. He can even surprise us on the odd occasion when everyone was calling for Drew to play and why wasn't Xhaka playing. He persisted. He persisted, and that was and the team that we completely and utterly went out and annihilated them. Let's have it right. They annihilated them. And that was the symbolism, that was the game that symbolized where we are as a team this season. You know, I said it prior to the game, we'll know where we are after we play Chelsea. And we've absolutely battered them. Let's have it right. So I'm quietly optimistic that we'll go on and progress. And then I think November's the month that I will start to worry. Because in my opinion, I think I'll have a good idea of where we'll finish in the season after November. So I think going into November, we need to make sure we're in good enough shape so that if we do drop points, it doesn't hurt us too much. So that would be my objective. So in terms of the manager, I think if he continues getting it right, continues looking at not being afraid to chop and change, not just, you know, Ramsey coming back is going to be the one I'm really looking out for. Which is the same way I want our team continues playing well. So that would be the one I start looking out for. But so far, so good from the manager. So I'd give him a B+, to be honest. Long may it continue. Let's keep going. Let's keep pushing. And let's see where we can end up in this thing. So, yeah, that would be my message. Gosh, that was optimistic for me. I guess in terms of other Arsenal-related news before I wrap things up. So, obviously, you've seen a story that came out, I believe it was yesterday, but it seems to have made Sky Sports today. So, you know, usually when these things hit Sky Sports, I guess it's a little bit more official than just a random newspaper story. And that's about Santi's deal. So it's up at the end of the season. I guess this is the part where I have to do another apology. I always say, for some weird reason, that Santi is a 33-year-old. He isn't. 31. So apologies for that. Yeah, so his deal is up at the end of the year. And for some weird reason, for all the focus on Bellerin's extension and Ozil's extension and Sanchez's extension and Koscielny's contract renewal talks. And these are all important, don't get me wrong. But what the heck has happened to to Santi's offer? Like, they've not even discussed anything with him, and he's in his final year. I would like Arsenal to at least offer him. I mean, they won't offer him a 2-year deal at this stage, but I think let's offer him another 12 months at least. I think he's still a quality player, could still offer us something there in the middle. I'm not sure why we'd be reluctant to offer him a deal. He's a player that has love. Whatever your personal opinions are on Ozil and Sanchez and whether these guys are world-class players, hold on. Whatever your personal opinion is, I think everyone would accept they love Santi. And I think he gives us something just a little bit different particularly in that number 8 spot than any other player that we have at the moment. Did have a bit of a weird game prior to Chelsea, but I thought came alive in the Chelsea game, and I thought has played well this season. Without being spectacular, I thought he's played well. So I would like us to keep him. Let's offer him these next 12 months. I don't know what you guys think. Leave that in the comments below. And then moving on to a story you probably saw me tweet out earlier yesterday, and that was about Ivan the Week's bonus. This is the story that angered me the most this week so far. So in case you don't know what on earth I'm talking about, and you cannot be asked to add to my Twitter, which, by the way, do follow me on Twitter at ColossalChig. Quick plug there. Got to get used to these things. You got to do these things. So for some unusual reason, because people will be saying, all right, well, technically, he did come through in the summer, but it's just not something that sits well. For me, the man needs to be consistently performing before he warrants a £1 million bonus deal. Didn't win anything last season, and for that, and for him to all of a sudden land a £1 million bonus for his work just seems ridiculous to me. So the story is from the Mirror. I have to always say allegedly because it is a newspaper, as opposed to any kind of direct quotes. But prior to that, he already had a £1.684 million salary. And obviously with that bonus, it became 2.684. And that figure was the only person who surpassed that figure was Ed Woodward, who, for all of the criticisms you could have about Ed Woodward, at least the man is bringing in place, at least giving Man United some sort of attempt to give them some sort of trophy at the end of the season. So I'm not even necessarily mad at Ed Woodward earning $3 million a year. It wasn't a story that particularly sat well with me. You guys know my feelings when it comes to Ivan. I call him Ivan the Week for a reason. He is an Arsene Wenger lackey. I don't trust him. Every time he comes out a quote, it's just like an automatic reaction. I immediately kiss my teeth. I think this flipping idiot. So it's just for me. It's those type of things that always leave a sour taste in my mouth. Because I just think to myself, so what did you do to deserve that, though? Really, like what did you do? As well, which is a lot of money to a lot of people, and the type of money that, quite frankly, I know it sounds stupid to say, but quite frankly, could have been better used paying either Ozil or Sanchez, or giving someone a better contract, or alternatively, go towards a flipping signing that no doubt we lost out on because we wouldn't pay an extra $1 million. Things like that. It just makes you makes you shake your head at the way Arsenal think and the reason why they think certain things. It's crazy. Other than that, it's not really a lot going on. It's international week. Blimey, I think this week's bad. Next week will probably be worse because it's just like nothing's happened over the weekend. But guess what? I wanted to put out a show to you, mainly to apologise. And in terms of my reviews, I'll get back on track as soon as the Premier League season starts. I'm also going to see if I can do a show with Stal and Robbie. So Robbie and Stal, if you're listening to this, I'm going to do a show. I'm going to reach out to you guys. You guys seem to like those shows a lot. And it'll be a good opportunity to get an idea in terms of what they feel that their respective teams are doing in the league at the moment this season. So if you guys that don't already follow Robbie Richmond, go follow Robbie Richmond. Sports Liverpool. And let's face it, one of our main title rivals. So it'd be interesting to see how he feels Liverpool are faring this season and what his impressions are of Arsenal since I last spoke to him. So I'm very curious to see if I can reach out to if they may be available. Stel, again, if you don't follow him already, go and follow him on a Madness, I believe your Twitter handle is Stel. Gosh, I might have just butchered it. Anyway, go and Google his podcast. It's a really good listen to at Shoot the Defense. Really interesting listen. The other, I swear, he runs like about 85 podcasts because he also has another one called At the Bloke Show. If you've watched it or listened to it, you know what I'm talking about. Go and Google both. They're both very enjoyable listens. They're big characters. So go and have a listen. So I'll probably reach out to both just to see if they want to do a show. Also, still trying to, I know you guys must think I'm lying. I'm still trying to reach out to Mems and see when exactly he's available. I was thinking about this earlier today, actually. Let's see when he's available to do a show. I think given the fact that there are no Premier League games this weekend, I may attempt, I'm going to try to see if he's available this weekend, to see if he can do a show. It's my boy's birthday thing on Sunday, so probably won't be Sunday, but either Friday or Saturday. I'm going to see if I can reach out to Mems and see if he might be available to do a show. So you may get a lot of contact. What an idiot. Content from me within the next few days with regards to the show. So do keep a lookout. And the best way of doing that, especially if you want to keep up with the shows, so if you haven't already, do subscribe. You'll be alerted to any kind of videos that I drop within the next couple of days. And similarly, if you're on Twitter and you're not following me already, do follow me at Colossal Chig. I usually pin my latest episodes to my profile, so that's probably another way of keeping up with me. All right, guys, I guess that's it from me. Other than that, I've enjoyed it. Peace.